All right, we're back. It's another episode of Different Kind of Genius. I'm your host, André Kufé. Big shout out to our sponsors once again. You know who they are by now. Go support them like they support us. But snap, we're back for 2020. It's the first one we've done all year. And things are really going to change after this, but they're all going to be a surprise. So you'll see them just when I see them. But we'll go back to business as usual. With me today, I've got the big homie Leigh. Leigh, how are you, my brother?
Very well, thank you, mate. Thanks for having me.
Mate,
Pleasure
thank
to
you
be
so
here.
much for coming. I understand you're a very, very, very busy man. And
I am. I like to keep myself busy.
you do. Like, we'll have that conversation before. It's like, if
Yeah.
you're not busy, it's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Exactly.
But snap. I know what a man like Leigh does. Tell the people. What do you get up to?
Well, I like to cut hair. I've been cutting hair for 14 years. So basically been a hairdresser since I left school. And just keep myself busy doing that.
And where do you cut hair?
So I split up my time. At the moment, I'm in Colac, which is regional Victoria, and I work in Melbourne CBD as well for a little bit of my time.
That's it.
Yeah.
And for 14 years?
Yes, so this year it's 14 years. Yeah, I started, it could be 15 this year. Yeah, I think I started in the salon when I was 15. I was either 15 or 16. I was still at school, and then I started my apprenticeship right after that. So that would have been 2006. So yeah, 14 years. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
And that that would have been a different period as well. Like, how do you go from, like, you grew up in the UK.
Yep.
So what was that transition like from school to an apprenticeship?
It was interesting. It really, like, getting into hair wasn't really anything even on the radar for me at the start. From school into apprenticeship, it was good. I think it was something for me to focus on, and just had some direction.
How did it fall into place?
How did it fall into place? That is a funny story. Well, not a funny story, but an interesting story, because no one expects it. They're like, "Oh, you must have like really loved hair and stuff like that." Like, I had no idea I was going to do this until about 2 weeks before I did it.
True.
Yeah. So I must have been 15 or 16. I'm one of four boys. So, when you're at that age, you all want to do everything. You want to go to the movies, you want to go out with your mates, you want to do this. And my parents sat me down, they're like, "Look, we can't afford to pay for you to do everything, so you're going to have to get a job and earn your own money." And like typical like teenager, I'm like, "Oh, what am I going to do?" And like, I didn't want to go and work at the supermarket. I didn't want to just do like a regular job. And it was actually my dad's idea. He said, "Oh, you care about your hair so much, why don't you go and be a hairdresser?"
That's almost like a jab.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, all right, why not?" Like, and so that's literally how it happened. And right before that, there was, because it was over a probably period of a week or two. We just kept having the conversation. I was a bit indecisive. I was like, "Thought about what you want to do yet? Have you got any ideas? This, that." And then again, it was another like bit of black and white advice. It was like, I remember my dad saying, "Do you want to go out and earn money, or do you want to go to uni and owe money?"
Ooh.
That was the question that he said to me. And sometimes, that's not always the right advice, but I think that's one of the great things about that style of parenting is like, it's this or this, It's not always right, but it's nice to sometimes be like, all right, I've got to make a decision now, and bang, it like sets you on that path. So, and at that age, with those things in my mind, I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. I want to earn money. So I'm going to go and find something that I can do, which is going to make me earn money forever, potentially. Because at the time I was like, I don't want to owe money. I'm like 15. I don't
want to owe money already.
I don't even have any money.
It's like, let alone owe it.
Yeah.
But it's funny that, isn't it? It's almost like my dad said the same thing. He's like, if you go to uni, make sure you pick something that you can work in straight away. While you're at uni, because it's all like just like when you don't come from much, it's like your parents like, make money. This
is it, man. This is it. Yeah. So that was it. Again, similar sort of thing. Like, just come from a standard family, standard place. Nothing special, nothing too crazy. Like, but that's a blessing in itself, because it teaches you so much. But yeah, I mean, it's that was it. I think starting there, that's a good starting point to like focus on the money. But now I'm further down the track. It does make you question a few things about why you're doing what you're doing and stuff like that.
True. So why do you do what you do?
That's another great question. Originally, I was thinking about this earlier. I was wondering if you were going to ask me this, and I was thinking, why do I do what I do? And I'm at a crossroads with everything. But originally, I wanted to earn money, and I love cool haircuts. I grew up like skateboarding. I was into like punk music. I played in bands. That's all I cared about. It was like you had to have cool hair. You had to wear cool clothes, and like that was it really. So I thought, put the two and two together. Cutting hair and making money, and having cool hair. But now I don't really think of it the same. There are downsides to thinking like that, and now it's really interesting with the internet and social media. I think it's bringing out the bad sides of that more so now.
Explain.
So I see a lot. I mean, I'm cutting hair 6 days a week. I see a lot of, that's a high volume of clients a week. And over the last 14 years, you start to notice patterns and you start to notice trends of behavior. And I think there's just so much pressure on how you look that once upon a time for me, like when I was young, I did care. I cared about what I looked like, but it wasn't the be all and end all. I was like, well, it's okay if I don't have my hair perfect one day. It's okay. But now I think social media is revealing that even more. It's bringing it out in us, and it's getting worse now, I think. And now that I'm barbering more, it's spreading into men's hair as well. So, like, I was a hairdresser for many, many years, and it's prevalent in that. I think women have a lot more pressure, or have had a lot more pressure than men have over the years to like the image, and it's everywhere. Marketing, adverts, everything's beautiful. You can't hide it. And it sells, right? But now it's spreading in. We have to be very careful of it. It's spreading into men's hair now, I think, a bit, which worries me. Once upon a time, I probably wouldn't have cared because I didn't think like this. And that's where it's been a blessing doing what I've done for so long, and seeing so many people and a volume of people. I think it's got more intense over the last 3 to 5 years for me because I really have amped up how much work I do and how many people I see. I'm noticing those trends more and more and more.
But it's almost barbering became cool.
That's another thing.
Yeah,
yeah. That's a whole nother thing. But so get back to like that, just being cool. Now it's like I don't think it's so good to think like that. I try and bring other elements to why I do what I do now. So helping people with, like, obviously feeling good, looking good, that's just one part of it, but there's got to be, I try and look at the other elements of a haircut, like the practicality of it, and suiting people's lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like I'm obligated to help people with the mental health around why they're getting a haircut too, because I just think sometimes just to look cool is not enough sometimes.
I hear you.
Because that's it's okay, because that was me when I was 15 and 16, But if I carried it, there probably was a point in my early 20s where I realised it's not doing me too many favours to just care about that.
And it's only temporary. Like, if you get a new cut, like, it's the 2 days after where it looks good.
Yeah.
And then for 3 days.
Yeah.
And then it just goes back to normal.
Exactly. And that's one thing that, I was standing behind the chair, and if I've got someone in who's super particular about the height of the fade and the look of it, this, that, it's like, dude, it's going to be gone in a week. So, like...
Unless you're coming back next week. It's like...
It's going to be gone. So, there's... I think... so that... I need to redefine why I do what I do. And that's why I feel like I'm at a crossroads with that element of my job, why I'm doing it. Once upon a time, like I said, it was to make money, to look cool and do cool haircuts. Now, because of what I see with the mental health of most people, or like maybe it's more concentrated because I'm in an environment where it's all about the look.
And in CBD as well, it's so fast.
And in the CBD, yeah. I need to, I feel like I'm obligated, because I've noticed it and I'm aware of it now. I need to help people with the thought process around a haircut and where the industry goes now with it, That's why I feel unfortunate. I'm at like a tipping point where I can have a bit more of an influence of like what we do as barbers, because to just be the guy that gives cool haircuts and just bigs you up because, yeah, dude, you look great, you look cool. That's easy. That's easy. I could do that all day. I could do good haircuts. I could tell you look great. I see you in 4 weeks. You know?
Yeah, literally.
But is that good for you? And in the long run, is that good for me? I don't think so.
Interesting. Because me and Boone talk about this a lot. And for us, we look at it as in he helps me level up for that like period.
Right.
So it's like, you know, you go there. It's an opportunity, like, especially because like now we're both busy as like sometimes the only opportunities we get is when we're both in the chair.
Yeah.
But it's like almost when you sit in that chair, because we're also in heavy routine. It's like 5+ years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost, I sit in that chair and it's almost therapeutic because he's like, I don't tell him what to do. Like he just like, he knows my head better than I do.
That's a dream. That's awesome. Yeah.
And then so like, he'll just cut my hair, but then it gives me the opportunity to just vent everything out.
Yeah.
To like that ear that's always been there and like we build back and forth like that whole time.
That's a great thing to have. Yeah, that really is a great thing to have. And I think that's quite special and individual to each barber and customer. But it's not always like that.
Oh, no,
it's not always like that, you know, and those things are sometimes quite hard to build.
Which is what started the conversation, because he would sit there and he's like, bro, like this is the first conversation I have where I don't have to talk about the basketball. Like where I don't have to talk about like X, Y, Z. It's like he can just be himself.
Yep.
But like that's part of the image though, you know, you create like a cool vibe and like with people that you don't really know, it's like we all just meet in the middle and have basic conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like the difference is when he cuts my hair, when I get out of that chair, I feel like I left the old me there.
Okay.
So when I've walked away, it's like it's a new me for the next like week or two.
Yeah. In a sense of look or in mind?
Mind.
That's cool.
Like
That's cool.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so like you can get a bit nappy, whatever. And like just because maybe it's been ages since I've got a haircut, life's been stressed, like everything's just been in the way, blah, 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 blah. But sit in the chair, get it taken down to how he prefers it, because I have no influence. But I can walk away leaving all the worries that I had with that previous haircut almost.
That's a cool way to look at it.
And it's like,
I think that's probably quite a unique way to look 100%. At a haircut. And from my experience, I don't know if a lot of people think about it that way. They probably are subconsciously looking for something like that. They just want a new look to be a new me. But like we say, it sometimes only lasts a week.
Literally.
And the work that needs to be done is actually inside. You know, you got to do your own work. So yeah, like I think.
So what does it look like for you? How do you want that situation to go?
That's it, man. That's where I'm at. That's where like this year I'm really going to try and redefine how I look at what I do and what I bring to the industry and what I bring to my clients. And it's really, really hard to do that because what I see is there's a common sort of expectation and understanding of what happens in a barbershop. You know, and it's
Elaborate.
Funny because I had this, a couple of my brothers come out last year and I hadn't seen my brother Adam in 8 years, I think it was. So we're only a year apart, so we were super close. So very, very similar upbringing, you know, shared a room at home. So we have like very similar ways of doing things, you know. Hadn't seen each other for 8 years. It's been amazing for us to grow in our own way and then bang, come back together. And it's amazing how similar we are still, but with all this growth in between. And he's now studying psychology and philosophy. And yeah, we were having these kind of similar conversations to this, and I was telling him all my woes, and he's a very chilled out guy. He's like, why do you even care? You know? But yeah, so he is a great person to talk to about that. But it's amazing to see different people's perspective. He saw a haircut as purely transactional.
Interesting.
So he goes, I turn up, I tell you what I want, and you do it. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I get that. But like that is not fun for me over the long run, you know? And I mean, it's fine. I think if the client just is like, if it's, you got to look at why the person is having that thing. He's a very practical guy.
Yeah,
So
see.
his haircut, he's like, I don't know, anything flash. He's like, I'll just turn up, skin fade, short on top, done. And that's fine. But I think then that's part of my job to recognize that and go, okay, this is just a practical dude. He's a practical guy. He just wants a nice short haircut. See you later. See you in a month, you know? But you can't treat them all like that. And I don't think it's all purely transactional. Because it doesn't, in the long run, that's not fun for me. It takes a lot of the creativity out of it. That's the complete other side of hair. And sometimes the lines are a bit blurred, what people think of what it is. You know, they're like, it's so creative. But it's not that creative if all I'm doing is what you tell me to do.
I hear you.
You know, because that's not really the definition of art. You know, if it's an art, if we're calling it an art, and you're telling me what to do, that's not necessarily my art. I'm creating a piece of art, but it's not mine. You've told me to do it, you know, and how to do it. Whereas get back to what you said about when you go to see your barber, that's quite a unique thing and a really good thing for you to do to your barber. It's like, okay, sort me out. Like, the rest is down to you. That's quite a cool thing to do because it allows him to be fully creative and he feels like he's putting his mark on your hair. You know,
Literally. And
which is cool. So when things become transactional, in the way that someone turns up and just says, this is what I want, that's good. It's good to have that direction. But if everything is like that, I don't know if it's always a good thing. Yeah.
But then there are two things in that. And I'll start with this one. When I give him full control, he's proud of it.
Yep.
So, and I think that's an important thing for me because it's like, if you're because I consider you guys artists and it's like, I'm almost just like the sculpture. So I'm like, if you're not proud of what you've done, how can I be proud of it?
Yeah.
So I'd rather give you full control so that you're happy about something.
But not a lot of people think. Well, this probably 50% of people don't think of it like that. It's really interesting. And when you go in, do you have any expectations or parameters?
No,
no.
I literally just sit in the chair. And
You're like, it's like the
he
dream
just
client,
does it.
like because, and I think a lot of people worry as well when they sit in the chair. They think you're just going to go wild, you know, like. Especially if you've won some awards or see some creative work or whatever, they think this guy's going to go nuts on my hair, you know. But it's not like that. I think it's part of our job to have a little bit of awareness and understand kind of how you are. Because as soon as you walk in the door, I'll probably be kind of taking notes on, all right, this is the kind of vibe, this is the kind of guy he is. I'm not just going to do something which is completely off your style, you know, because that's a disservice to both of us, really, you know. So yeah, that's interesting. It's a good way to be anyway when you go and get your haircut, to not have too many parameters. But I get that when some people say, oh, you know, do what you want. If you say that, or if you really need to mean it,
No, 100%.
you know, and not have parameters. And yeah, that's what I find. There are a lot of parameters around a haircut, which is good. Obviously good to have. I mean, and some days I just want direction. You know, some days I don't want to think about it, and I'll be like, what do you want? You want a skin fade? Cool. All right, let's do it. You know, and then that's it. It's nice to have that.
So I guess it's about sort of maintaining that balance. Like you want some where you can, and I've seen some of your haircuts and I obviously don't know what I'm looking at, but Boom's like look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And I'm like, all right.
Cool.
I'm like, it's mad creative.
Yeah.
But it's great that you can express that because it keeps you sharp. But then you want sort of those people sometimes that can just be like, I just want a skin fade. And you're just like,
Yeah.
Here you go.
You know, the funny thing about that is, I think the second half of last year I had a realization about that kind of stuff. I got into a bit of a rut where that's all I wanted to do was creative stuff. But I realized that's not what everyone wants. And again, as much as I think it can't be all about what the client wants, it also can't be all about what I want too. Again, we have to get a balance. So yeah, I learned to reappreciate the basic, the bread and butter. and get out of that rut. And I think one of the things that has done it is social media, because there's two different barbers. There's like your barbershop barber and there's your Instagram barber, you know, or you can be those two barbers in one person, you know, and sometimes I'll feel like I'm swaying too far to that Instagram barber where I'm like, I'm just trying to do the most creative haircut, when in your head you think, is anyone really going to wear this? You know, it's cool for like the creative aspect and creating an image and, you know, showing, oh, this is what I can do. But from my experience, it's not often that people jump in the chair and go, yeah, I want that really, really creative one. You know, so you got to be very careful about how you go about that. So I had a realization with that last year. I thought, maybe you should just post some more basic haircuts.
Yeah, so
just
people are like,
yeah,
oh,
so people can relate to, you know. So yeah, you know, I guess when people do look at my work, it is quite creative, and that's the one side that I've been quite focused on pushing. But yeah, I think maybe subconsciously there were other things at play there. I was probably playing into the Instagram thing maybe too much and just going, oh, look what I can do, you know, when really get back to the shop, it's probably not 100% practical. And then that creates that argument in your head. You know, you've got this thing, oh, I just want to do creative work. Oh, my client just wants a boring haircut. Oh, he wants to look this way. And then you start the whole circle again, you know. So that's it. It's trying to juggle all those ideas. And again, not all barbers think that way. Some guys just like, sit down, you want to look cool? Sick. All right, I'll make you look cool.
And then like you walk out.
And then that's it. Yeah,
cool.
yeah. And then you walk out. Yeah. Yeah.
But then, I guess it's different because, I don't know, it's funny that you mention it. Because in my head, I'm like, you know, Melbourne's the birthplace of individuals. But then I'm realised when you're in the CBD, everything's so fast paced. Like, everybody just wants to fit into their little mould. Like, I couldn't imagine the accountant wanting to go to work and just, like, looking like a rock star.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
You get to work and everyone will be like,
and
true?
There's two things in that. There's that realisation. And this is where my job gets so hard, because some guys, they want the creativity, they want the real shot, you know, the really cool cut, you know, they want to look good on the weekend, but they also want to fit in the office. And I literally had one of those yesterday. He was like, I want this kind of bit of a loose rock star cut, but it's also got to look good in the office. And I was like, well, you're asking for everything there, mate. You know, and it gets really hard. Yeah, so that's definitely one of those things that it's just difficult to deal with sometimes.
And then you had a massive year.
Oh, man.
Like, it would, and then it'd be so hard to be dealing with that sort of balance with everything else that's been going on in your life.
Yeah.
Like, you're being recognised at the highest of the highest levels for your creativity.
Yep.
And then it's almost like these people want to keep you boxed in.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say boxed in. That's probably a mindset that I put myself in a way, and didn't know how to navigate it, you know, in a way. Because like I say, that there are times, I think you got to pick your times to be creative and show that stuff, but realize that that's just one aspect. And like we were saying before, there's a time for practicality, there's a time for creativity, there's a time, you know, just for your bread and butter cuts, there's a time for more specialized stuff. So yeah, I think, being recognized on a high level, doing all that creative stuff, but then always remembering that you got to go back to the shop and get back to the daily grind. So that's an interesting thing to like try and spread your mind over. Yeah.
And then, like, because I don't know. It's funny because I guess it's all individual perspective. Like, I understand why people look at it on a transactional basis, because you're providing a service. But then I also understand how people look at it from my perspective, and it's like, you're an artist, like, create.
Exactly right.
And it's just like, where do you find the middle ground? Exactly.
So that's the whole thing. That's what I'm trying to work out. So I'm really trying to balance it out. That transactional thing, that artist thing. I think that's where I'm really going to have to expand this year and try and work that out, is how to navigate all of that.
And that's going to be a hard task.
It's been very, very hard. Yeah, it's not easy because it's just every person that sits in the chair is different. Different expectation, different ideas on hair, different reasons why they're getting it done, you know. And maybe this is where I'll need your help to develop the questions of what I need to be asking people. Because to me, is another thing that I want to work on. This was a New Year's resolution of mine, is to try and get rid of some of the assumptions that I have, that I've developed in my mind over the years. Because seeing such a volume of people, you can develop these assumptions. You're subconsciously noticing trends, and it's almost like a cognitive bias where you start to just assume that something's going to happen, or if they say something, that's what it means, you know? And I'm aware of that. I know that I do that, but I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how to change it. So maybe it's just I need to be structuring the conversation and the consultation differently and asking different questions and just prodding at it a different way.
What you said was so powerful, and why I can acknowledge that it was so powerful is before I started youth work, I used to assume a lot. Like, you know, I experienced many different situations, experienced many different people. So I felt like I was able to spot the trends of how people would behave. Started working with youth, realized if I have any assumptions, I'll be fucking proved wrong. Like, real
You're
quick.
wrong, buddy.
Real quick.
Yeah.
So then, if anything, it almost made it easier for me because instead of coming to them with an assumption, I'd come to them just with an open mind and I'd let them guide it. So if they say specific things, it formulates more of what they want. Rather than me just looking, judging, and assuming, I sort of wait for them to say those specific things that tick my boxes.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, so is this what you want? And then they're like, yeah. But I haven't made that up from myself. I was able to come to that conclusion based on what they've said.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. It's the same thing. It's a similar thing. I think for me, I'm not equipped with the knowledge or the training to navigate those conversations in a way that you probably can. And then I love just listening to that and just digging into that and trying to think of how I would play it out. The thing that I have, I think with what you do and what I do, it's similar, but then still worlds apart. With me, I have this thing where I'm very, very careful about feeding into the ego too much. So when
Wait, into yours or theirs?
No, to the client and mine.
Yeah.
I try not to feed into my ego too much because that just goes in a really bad direction. But I think, I listen to the client. I'm good at that. I'm good at saying, listen to what they want and trying to go off what that is. But then, when instead of just being like, oh, is that what you want? There's something that dings in my head and goes, but is that good for you? You know? And that's where I hit a crossroad. That's where I'm at right now.
That's a very dangerous question.
Okay.
Because
I know, and then for me to assume, to be like, is that good?
Yeah, because that's sort of what you've done.
And I question myself on this all the time. And then I'm like, why do you think like that? And a part of that is an assumption and you just never know why the person is getting done what they're doing or why the haircut, why they're even here, you know? Maybe that's a question I need to ask. And I've toyed with this idea a lot, and I never hear hairdressers or barbers asking it. And it's a very provoking question. It's like, why are you doing this? So why are you here today? But I don't know how it would go.
But you know what's so funny?
You know, because if you sat in a chair and I was like, so why are you here today? Most people are like, to get a haircut, duh. Like, but then, and this is where I feel, just generally, I feel we need to just open our minds a little more, just be a bit more open with conversation. And that it could be a very powerful thing. It could change everything. I think that one question could probably change a lot of things for me in my career. Just understanding why people are doing what they're doing, you know?
But I think that's where we differ.
Okay.
Because that's my favourite question.
Right.
And then, obviously, our words are very separate. But when I'll ask somebody, what do you want? They'll tell me what they want. And then the first thing I say is, why? And the minute like they tell me what they want and I say why, you get the answer. You're like, I just want to be cool. So then you put that hat on, you're like, sick. If you just want to be cool, I'll do this. It'll make you cool. Whereas if someone says it and they're like, I'm trying to express myself in a new way, you can interpret that. You're like, sick. Let's try and do this a new way. Because I think there's so much power in why, because so many people just do. And I love challenging those that do with why are you doing it?
Yeah, and then go beyond that point. So you've done that. All right, you go, why are you doing this? I want to look cool. Sick, I've made you look cool. But then I can't help but think, like, if I am contributing, like, as long as the psychology behind it's okay, as long as they're okay after that, then it's all fine. But if this is adding to a detrimental thing, then I don't know if it's good.
But then that's almost a danger of assuming, because
I know, right?
Yeah,
that's where this circle goes, and then it's trying to decipher, like. Then I think back to what my brother said to me in that conversation. He's like, "Why do you even care?" You know, I don't really know. I don't know why I care. You know, maybe it's a thing that's in our biology. I don't know. Like, it's. I think it's a human thing to care. I think. Yeah.
But that's where I'm very like your brother in. After I've asked, because in reality, there's so much more that could be going on. So when you ask why and someone says just to look cool, maybe because they're really in a slump right now. And the only way to come out of that slump is for them to look like cool in their heads, which might be the only thing to turn them around. But if I start really questioning, like, so if I really had an issue with what they wanted to say, I'd be like, why do you want to look cool?
Yeah.
But then in the danger in doing that is now you're unpacking the deeper problem or like the deeper issue and why someone's doing that. And if you have the time, by all means. But if you don't have the time, it's like you almost have to listen to that and then be like, well, as long as this serves its purpose for you and you can take out whatever it is that you need to take out from leaving this looking cool, you've done the best job you can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely it. And I do agree. I do agree. But then, I just worry about afterwards. I think if that becomes a repetitive thing, you know, like that person keeps relying on looking cool to feel okay, that then worries me. Because I see it quite a lot, though.
But then I think that's when you've now built a relationship. Okay. So if you all keep going back and forth and this person keeps saying the same thing, then that is when I'd deepen.
And then, and that's totally right. And then I get to this point where I'm like, wait a second. Who am I to, like, give this person advice or try and help them? Because I'm not qualified in that area, you know?
That's not even what you're doing, though. All you're doing is just asking the question. Because it's like, you know, if you've come in and you've said, all I want to do is look cool, like, why do you have an emphasis on this? Like, you know, like, are you trying to impress someone? Are you trying to do this? Are you trying to, like, there are things that we say that are just very surface level. Yeah. So we can just say them and it satisfies me, satisfies you, but there's a deeper thing to what I've said. Yeah. And maybe I'm just not comfortable in sharing that immediately. Yeah, true. But if I'm seeing you regularly and I keep saying the same thing, like, there's something that I'm trying to prove to myself. And that is when, like, my brain switches over and it's like, well, let's figure out what you're trying to prove. Yeah. Because it's not just looking cool. It's like, it's literally like, are you trying to impress somebody that you like? Yeah. Are you trying to, like, and then that's when I'll unpack it. And then that whole time, I've said, like, because a few years ago I told myself, never make assumptions. And then so in asking all those questions, when I have a relationship with this person, I'm never assuming what they're going to say. Because I've realised in what you've said, there's a deeper meaning to that, and I'd rather let you say it than me guide it. Because in reality, if I guide what it is, it's just like, that's not how you feel. Yeah. So I'd rather encourage you to say how you feel, and then we can move forward. Yeah. And then that's not me offering advice. That's not me telling you what to do. It's literally bro, I'm an ear.
Yeah.
I'm literally just an ear, and I'm ready to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, and that there's power in that as well, because sometimes saying it out loud can trigger something for the person too. You know, they'll be like, "Oh, yeah." And then when you say it out loud to someone else, like, oh, "Yeah, why? So why is that such a thing?" Yeah, yeah. I think I'm definitely going to try and put that in more.
Bro.
Like without and just try and remove a little bit of the judgment. I don't no assumption. It's not judgment. Assumption. Like I try and I try not to assume, but sometimes I think subconsciously I've noticed so many patterns that I think, oh, this is where this is going, you know. But also, I think I need to be careful on how much I see that too. I think it's harder for me and for yourself. Like we would see a certain type of person in that environment. You know, I think we probably attract a certain type of person in that environment. Because you are there, you know, it sounds ridiculous, but you are there to look cool. You know, you go to salon, it's like, I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to have cool hair. And then if your barber's like, why? It's a weird thing, isn't it? But I think where I'm at a crossroads with it is, if I keep seeing it and hearing it, what can I do to help? And I think one of those questions is to ask why, because I don't ask why. I never ask why they're having a haircut. I'm just like, okay. And then all these things just go off in my head. And then if nothing changes, what do I do then? Because if I'm not enjoying it, then what do I do? You know?
This is where it gets funny.
Yeah.
But this is also the power of why. And what you're explaining and what I'd have to say to that is, because I don't have assumptions, I give the power back to the people.
Yeah.
So I also understand that people can surprise me. And I'd rather you surprise me.
Yeah.
And for you to surprise me means I'm just going to ask why, because this is the power of why. With me just asking why and not having any assumptions in my head, not having any of my own thoughts until you started to say things, it's an even playing field. So when you said why, that's when I can then interpret it.
Yeah.
So instead of me coming up with, oh, you said this because doof, 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 when I've challenged it and then you said what you really feel like, then I'm like, okay, this is really all that you want.
Yeah.
And then this is, not everybody thinks about things so deeply. There are individuals that are cool with just being like, today I just want a cool haircut.
True.
And you're just like, say less.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And I think you could definitely pick on when they're okay with that. But sometimes I feel that it's so important to look cool for this person that they might go away. And if they don't look like that, it's like the world's ending, you know? Like they're going to feel worse. That's when I worry. Because like I can already tell if you jumped in my chair, it's going to be great. Like you're good, and even if you looked at the cut list, like it's not quite what my barber does, you're not gonna go home and cry.
Bro.
I hope not.
No,
but I don't think that's always the case.
Oh, you know what it is?
Yeah.
When I sit in someone's chair, I almost give myself to them.
Yeah. That's a great thing.
And then in the sense of,
It's rare.
because I've sat in your chair, or whoever, like, because I've sat in this person's chair, I know that this person does a great job. And if you're like, what do you want? And I'm like, just to look cool, because I know you know how to make people look cool.
Yeah.
That answer satisfied my head.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm
right.
not thinking of a deeper reason as to why I want to look
yeah.
cool. I've literally just sat down because I know you do a sick job.
Yeah.
And I just want you to do a sick job.
Yeah.
In almost me saying I want to look cool, it's almost me saying I just want you to do a good job.
Yeah. That, and I love that because in what you're saying, it's you're blending both. So like earlier when I was saying, and then there's a creative side too. Like when we're talking about all these things on like the psychology and mental health side, we're not talking about creativity. We're just talking about looking cool. and what that does to our mind and how we interpret our life. But then you're allowing that person to, it's you're looking cool because you know that person
Makes people look cool.
people look good, but you're also appreciating their creativity and their art. That's the bit that I feel like we've got to bring back into it. But you can pick up on that vibe though. I think if you sat in my chair, I could pick up on that vibe. If you sat down with a smile and like happy and like, I just want to look cool, I'd be like, sweet, because it's a vibe, you know, it's cool. Whereas like, but it's not always like that. And I would love you to come and like just stand there and help me like navigate that and just see the interaction.
Bro,
you know? Like,
say less.
yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah, because
let's literally do it.
It's sometimes hard to like know the interaction, you know, and the
And then
yeah.
I think I understand it because, like, obviously I started at Bar, but I also acknowledge if I'm not wearing glasses and I'm just wearing a black hood, I'm an intimidated individual. It's the truth.
Okay.
So sometimes when I ask people things and they just give me a short, sharp answer, I understand it's because, like, I understand that I'm, what's the word? I'm a big individual.
Yeah.
And it can be intimidating.
Okay.
So, and then, bro, also there are people that like, because I'm the client, so I understand. I've gone into barbershops before and been intimidated. And if I'm intimidated, you know, it's already nervous enough. Like, I'm like, you're Leigh, you know, you've got all your accolades. You were like best barber, you this, you that. And now that I'm finally in your presence, I'm like, holy.
Yeah, true.
So
true,
it's
true.
almost like I'm literally sitting there, you're like, what do you want? And I'm just like, to be cool. And it's just like, I'm so intimidated by your presence. Like, there's no deeper meaning to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's almost
True,
like I'm literally
true.
just sitting here and I'm like, I know you do a sick job and all I want you to do is to do a sick job.
Yeah, yeah.
But because I'm so nervous and because I'm intimidated by your presence, I just said, I just want to look cool.
Yeah.
But in reality, I just want to look cool is so much deeper than that. Which is why I said the whole why thing.
Yeah. I don't really look at it like that often. That's a really good perspective. You're putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Like, I guess I don't see myself as an intimidating person because I'm aware of how I think and trying to always alter how I am. I just rarely I don't try and be an intimidating person, you know, but I get it. Like, I'm the same. I'll go places and be like, whoa, that's that person, or, you know, whatever. And just think about what you just said then. This year I've been thinking I want to get more tattoos, right? And I was thinking, you know, my mindset on that, I would literally go to a guy, and this is where the internet's so good. You scroll through Instagram, you find a dude and be like, I love their work. Go in and be like, you know what? He might say, what do you want? I'd be like, I don't know. I love your work. Do something, you know? And that, he might be like, what an idiot. But then that's, I guess for me, I'm just appreciating the art. I just love the art, you know? I'm like, that dude is really good at what he does. I love the art. I love tattoos. And that's how it's going to happen.
Ready? So you're the tattooist and I'm you. I go to you, you're an acclaimed tattoo, like, you're somebody I really want to get tattooed for. You're like, what do you want? And I'm just like, something cool.
Yeah.
That tattoo artist doesn't go into like, oh, this is just the next band. He's like, say less.
Yeah.
I've looked at you real quick as an individual. I've seen sort of what tattoos you are. Or they're like, you know what? I've got this cool idea in my head. I'm going to put it on you.
Yeah.
And it's like, they've just done
cool.
that.
And then again, I think the really important question there again is like the why. I would love it if he asked me why, because I've thought about this so damn much about like haircuts. I would like, the other thing about it, this is why I keep going back to like the psychology around it. If I said to someone why, and I think the best thing they can do is just be 100% honest, and you turn around and said, I just love to look cool, I'd be like, sweet, that's cool. Like, I don't need to know anymore, you know? But sometimes it's not like that, because I think if he said to me, well, why do you want me to do this tattoo on you? I'd be like, well, for one, I know you're awesome at what you do. I love your work. I just love tattoos. Like, that's it, you know? And
so why would someone not say that about you?
I don't know, man.
I love your work.
What?
I think you're great
Yeah,
at
I just
like,
it's,
I
it's
think you're
something
great
that
at
I haven't
haircuts.
experienced much. Like it's interesting.
Because
I think we've got this. And this is the whole other side to, I guess, interacting with people.
but then this all comes from
evolving.
conversation.
Yeah.
And then like because we want people to be honest, we want people to say what they want. But you know why people don't do that? They don't get opportunity. So there's been heaps of situations where like, you know, someone's asked him an answer. It's like, what do you want? This. So they're just like, they give that answer. It's when the question asked is, comes back to the power of why. When you ask why, it encourages more conversation. Because now that person really has to be like, oh, so you actually really care about what I have to say.
Yeah.
And then because I've opened that door up, you will now think more about what you have to say.
Yeah.
As opposed to, what do you want? This.
Yeah.
Say less.
That's it.
It's like, what do you want? This. Why? Then that person's like, then watch,
Right.
like,
And
bro,
then,
you'll get hit
and-
with, you're
and
a
then
great
saying it
barber.
with saying it out loud too, really makes them hear it and resonate it back. And then we can really start getting into some cool stuff.
But then not only that, if you run that course, the conversation that you have with your client in the chair is going to be so much more different.
Yeah.
Because now they're sitting there and they're like, you actually care about me.
And I'm going to love that conversation. That's the kind of stuff I want to talk about, you know?
Bro, then
The whys. I think that's what I need to do.
You know what's so dangerous about that? That's almost on you.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, it is 100%. Like,
Yeah,
I need to be the director of that and like, initiate that.
because these people come to you because you're you're recognized on the highest level of what you do. You are known for all your creativity. You're known for all the good things you do. Like, that person is almost like is in awe of you, and the fact that you give that person, like, you just don't want to have a surface level conversation. That person feels so much more comfortable, and they're just like, you.
That's the interesting thing. Again, getting back to being in the shop and presenting yourself for social media and Instagram and doing competitions and stuff. You know, people will come and be like, "Oh, you know, you're the professional. You've won these awards, blah blah blah." It's like, yeah, for cutting hair. I didn't win an award for like digging into this conversation. So that's where I think we need a lot more in our industry. We need a lot more training on that, and that's where people like psychologists and everyone can come in and help us navigate those conversations and not be afraid to ask why. I think because that's the side of it. Yeah, I didn't win awards for that. It was purely for doing the cut, you know, like it wasn't for digging into the conversation. So that's where it gets really hard because there's this huge expectation on you. Like, oh, you should know you're like the best. And then it's like, yeah, but I might be terrible at navigating this conversation. So,
But then that's, you really don't need those people to come in and do that for you. Because at the end of the day, there's already so much going on in those environments. It'll just make even more going on.
Yeah.
When in reality, you've already got the connection. It's you and them.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is offer an ear.
Yeah.
Ask the why.
Yeah.
And not talk about yourself. Like, you know, if they're talking about yourself, like if they're asking you questions about yourself, flip it and be like, bro, tell me what you do.
Yeah.
I know what I do.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
And like when you're like, I really care, like when you say that, they're almost like, wow. I look at this person on such a pedestal, but he cares about what I do.
Yeah.
And it changes the dynamic of everything because
So much strength in that too.
Yeah. Because then they're like, oh, I really like you. You really like me?
Yeah.
And then watch that person just like run off with it.
That's cool. That's what it's all about. And again, that's exactly what it's about. I think just those meaningful connections, meaningful conversations. And that's why I have an issue with like the just looking cool thing is because like sometimes it's just not that meaningful, you know, on both parts. And, you know, I've been doing this a long time. If I want to keep doing it for a long time, how much of my life do I want to spend just having those little, not so meaningful interactions?
Bro.
Because that I need. Where does it go? At some point in your life, you get to a realization. You're like, yeah, and then what am I doing? And that's why I want to redefine the why of what I'm doing this year. Is like that. I need to create those more meaningful connections, meaningful conversations. I just feel like I'm sort of helping people.
And then it's so weird because I've never even thought about this till now. But that literally strengthens the power of why, because it kills small conversation.
There you go.
And if you don't want small, like, bro, I'll say it to people. People ask me about things. I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. That shit's boring to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'll
That's good straight up.
Like, I'll literally just be like,
straight up.
I'll
Yeah.
be like,
and that's good. That's really good. Have that honesty, yeah.
I'll be like, tell me about you.
Yep.
Like, don't tell me about, like, some stuff that I don't pay any interest at all to.
Yeah.
Like, right now, I really care about you. Tell me about you.
Yeah.
And then in doing that, like, puts us on a different path.
It's awesome.
It literally puts us on a different path, because then you're like, oh, I don't have to just look at this person. He's big. He's black. He likes basketball. I don't have to speak to him about that. I'm like, I want to speak to you about life, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like, if I want to speak to like people about NBA, it's like, I'll go talk to my NBA fanatics.
yeah.
I don't want to really have that conversation with you. I'd rather talk about life, your experiences, my experiences if you want to hear them.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that sort of conversation.
That's
And the only way to have that sort of conversation is to ask.
that's
Is literally to ask. I think if almost like that New Year's resolution of not making any assumptions is great, but almost just ask more questions.
yeah, definitely.
Like if you're seeking these
Yeah.
answers, ask.
Ask more the right questions. Yeah.
Not
I
even
think-
there's no such thing as
true,
the right
true,
question.
True. Yeah, yeah.
Just ask questions.
True. Yeah.
More
yeah,
questions.
more.
Because through doing that, you'll unpack it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like through doing it, you'll unpack it. And the only way to get an answer to a question is to ask it. So it's just like, let's just ask questions.
Let's do it.
Or I'm gonna have to quickly piss. Give me 2
Okay,
minutes.
cool.
Liam, do you want to sit down?
No, not really.
Nah, it's all good. Give me 2 minutes.
All right, man. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you took that well, and I was like, true. It's powerful.
The why.
I usually take pictures on this camera with film,
Oh yeah.
but it turns out I didn't fill it up with film. So
Oh man.
So I've got to get like this point and shoot one.
Oh
and
yeah.
it's had film in it for like 5 years. I don't even know if the film's good still.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully it's fine.
The power of what?
Right.
I think that's the
There's
question,
no
man.
film in this camera, so I had to get this point and shoot one that's in my car, but it's had film in it for like probably 3 years or something like that, and I know the film's still good.
Maybe just take photos in your other, like the phone too.
Yeah, I reckon.
Oh. No, we're back. No, but that's. I feel like we got the answer to the question that you wanted,
I think we did.
and
That's where it's going to start. for sure.
Literally.
Yeah.
and I think the other thing too. This is where I want to give you the credit. So that whole conversation we pretty much just had stems from, like, we got to give you congratulations for it, but you did take 2019 Barber of the Year.
I did. Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how that happens. Like, but that is such an acknowledgement,
Yeah.
and you've already got that. So, like, already what you do is 100 times better than, like, yeah, we could say it. You got it. 100 times better than everybody else.
Yeah. Okay.
If you nail the conversation part as well, you're going to be the ultimate vibe.
That's it. That's what I'm looking at. And I think it's so good that that award came at this time, and it just reminded me, like, it's good to win that, but having that awareness as well was like, okay, that's just one side of it. You know, you bring that back to the shop. Then there's all this expectation around you, and it helps you develop the rest of you. There's just a little while where you don't really know how to navigate it and where to go next, you know? So that's where I think that whole, just digging into those questions a bit more would help. But yeah, winning the award it's a crazy feeling. It's such a crazy feeling, especially because it's been something that I've been after for quite a while, like the last 3 to 5 years, you know?
And then, you know what I love just as much as the question, why? How? How do you even win an award like that? Like, do you know what I mean?
I can't tell you. No.
Oh, don't
That's
give away,
a secret. No,
don't
I'm
give away
joking.
the
I'm
tricks,
joking.
but like,
No, I'm joking.
one,
No.
I didn't even know that award existed.
Mm.
Then just like how?
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So again, I'm going to go back to like resolutions now. Last year, one of my things was I want to win some kind of big award, and it's weird how it comes to you because it didn't come at the time that I thought it would. There's 2 really big competitions that we do for the year. There's the Australian Hairdressing Awards and there's the Australian Barbering Awards. And at the Hairdressing Awards, I really wanted to win the Stylist of the Year. That's like something that I've had my eyes on for a few years. And then things really didn't go well. Like the judges didn't like my work. Like it wasn't that it was bad. It was just a thing of taste. And then I was a bit like, okay, well, that's that, you know.
I tried.
And then I tried. And then all of a sudden, then this I knew the Barber of the Year thing was coming up, and I was like, oh damn man, there's some good barbers in that. Like I don't know. And then it was weird. It just kept coming up. It kept recurring. I kept seeing it on my Instagram feed. I kept thinking in my head like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I might do that. And then my schedule was free. Like I could do it, and things just started falling into place. So it was in Brisbane. I had to organise models.
True.
So that was hard. Like being in Melbourne and trying to get models available in Brisbane. That happened really easily. Like I was like message a few people. I had clients that knew people. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, I'll do it. You know, you up for this? Yeah, cool. I'm like, oh, this is a good sign. And then put my application. They accepted it. Went to the show. The flight was on time. I got to the venue early. You know, everyone was super cool. I went in, did the comp, did the first heat, just blew it away. Like everyone was like, "Wow, that's insane work!" Like I did my usual creative thing, and got through to the final, and I didn't have a model for the final. I walked upstairs in the venue because they had like a load of, it was like in an old warehouse. Yeah. They had a lot of product stuff upstairs. Walked upstairs. I saw a dude with a hat on and he had these like blonde curls hanging out underneath. I just walked straight up to him. I was like, take your hat off. And he's like, look at me, what? And I was like, can I cut your hair? I just got into the finals. He's like, yeah, okay. I was like, can you be back at like 4:00? He's like, yeah, here's my number. Just call me. And then I called him, did the thing and won it. Got out of there, came straight back to Melbourne. Yeah, so that's how, and so it was almost like it was meant to happen, you know, and that's...
It's because it's what you wanted.
It's because of what I wanted, and I believed, I don't know how the saying goes, but like, it's when you believe you deserve it, things will come when you believe you deserve it. And I was like, you know what? I was like, my work is good enough. I was like, I can do this, you know? And then I just turned it on. There was a moment in the day where I was looking around and I saw the people that were there. And I was like, I've got to turn this on if I want to win this thing. And I was just like, sussing people out. I was like, seeing what they were doing. I was seeing some really nice haircut, like nice fades and stuff. I was like, no one's being creative. No one's like pushing the boundaries. No one's doing this. So I'm like, that's it. Just going in. I'm doing it. And it happened. So, yeah, it was almost like that, just believing that I deserved it and I could do it. And then it came that way. So, but that at the start of the year, that was not in the vision. Like I thought it was going to happen before that. Or yeah.
So then that's the thing of like take a risk, get rewarded.
Exactly. That's half of like the last sort of 5 years for me is being about that, just taking risks and showing up and just doing it, being rewarded, there, doing it. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, the whole doing that. It's a long. It's been a long process for me. Coming from a hairdressing background, I've always cut men's hair to quite a good level, but to step it up a notch, I really had to push myself. Network around the right people, do the right education, watch the right things, get an idea of the right style. And all of those things came together at that moment. It was a combination of knowing the things to do, the determination, the hard work, the awareness, taking notice. And all of those things just came together at one moment and took it out. So,
Leigh, am I wrong, or is that just a recipe for success?
I think it is. Yeah, I think that's what I've learned over the last sort of 5 years. And it really... I say 5 years because that it has been the period I'd say where I've really been working on how to get success and what my idea of it is and how to navigate that. Before that, I think subconsciously I've always been really good at like sort of just knuckling down on things and really applying myself. I've always been good at that. But then getting to the inner workings of how to push it in different directions. That's really been a big thing the last 5 years. Yeah.
And bro?
And that's it. It's all those little bits to the recipe. It's almost like just having a big pot and just chucking it all in. And bang, it happens,
None of that. You just come out with this like wedding cake that's an absolute masterpiece. You're like,
yeah.
See? You just didn't see all those terrible cakes I made at the start.
Exactly. There's been so much crap that I've done, there's been not so tasteful haircuts. There's been some bad haircuts. There's been some really great ones in there that no one's even looked at. It's all those things. There's the hardening of all of that. You just get tougher to that kind of thing. You turn up, you're like, oh, it could go either way today, That's a good skill to learn too. Just not getting, you get bummed out if you lose, but it's not like, next day, up and at it again. Here we go. Let's crack on. How can I make it better,
Bro, one of my friends says it the best. It's like, no losses, only lessons. And I'm just like...
Exactly.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. That's the truth. And that's a perspective and a mindset, 100%. And not everybody sees that. And that, I think if you're going to do anything to a high level, you have to have that mindset. Like I was saying, early last year, when we went to the Australian Championships, I was like, I really want to dial this in and win it. And I didn't. I was probably bummed for a day, and I was like, all right, well, that's a lesson. And when I looked at, like I was saying, with all those bits to the recipe in the pot, there were probably two things I was missing, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's why you didn't win it, because you didn't bring everything. And even though I wanted it, I don't know if on the day, I don't know if I 100% believed I deserved it at that point. And it's weird how a couple of months later, I could just do some extra work, focus on those things, and bang, it happens.
But it's like subconsciously you knew what you were missing.
Yeah.
And then next time you rocked up with all the tools, you were like,
go.
Anyone in my way, it's a problem for you.
Exactly.
So it's like, get out of my way.
That's been the last 5 years. And it's like, it's having, you have to have both. You have to have humility and the drive. Just having one is sometimes not enough. To do something at that level, you have to have both. You have to have the humility to lose and to learn, but you also have to have the drive to be like, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to do it. And that those two things together, it's powerful. It's very powerful.
Bro, we've seen what happens if you apply those two things. So it's just continue applying them, keep kicking down doors, keep achieving goals, keep doing everything that you believe you require.
Yeah.
And you're rewarded.
Exactly. And that, getting back to what we talked about earlier, digging into that conversation thing, you need to have the humility to realize that the way you're doing it is not, being smooth enough in your mind or getting you the things that you want and, vice versa. But also the drive, and not just settling on that and going, no, it's not working, I hate this, hate that. It's the drive to go, I'm going to work it out. And that's why things like this happen, where we could talk about it, and then I'll go and apply it. And it's just that never-ending cycle.
But it's a better never-ending cycle than the one you had before.
Oh, 100%.
Because the one you had before is stunting.
Yeah. Oh, every time. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, it's not even a circle. It's almost you take a lap, hit a wall, and start again.
Yeah.
Whereas one's just a perfect circle.
Yeah,
you just keep maneuvering through it, learning new things, adding that to your collection and moving forward.
Yeah. There's got to be, you have to hit walls. You have to. Sometimes you don't learn. Sometimes it takes that big hit, like, oh. But then again, it's having the humility to go, oh, that sucked. And then having the drive again to go, all right, let's go. Not letting that one thing just ruin you. And honestly, that stops a lot of people in the first place. Just the thought of that moment of like, I lost.
But then that's when you know what they're doing isn't for them. Because if that's stopping you, you're not doing what you feel like you should be doing.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. That's interesting. Like,
and I only just come to realize that. I learned that because I was fortunate enough to have a conversation with someone I really respected. And that was the biggest thing. They're like, bro, sometimes people aren't ready. It's not what people want.
Yeah. True. I think that's definitely right. And I think if we're talking like on the competition side of things, like just, I don't know, winning something, sometimes they don't want it enough, or they deep down, they know that they might not be quite there. And so there's that thing of like, oh, maybe I don't deserve it, that little bit of doubt.
But you don't want it enough. Because if you did
exactly,
want it...
Exactly. Yeah, if you did want it enough, you know, and that's the humility that I have. Now, you know, almost a year on from the Australian Hairdressing Championships, where I thought I was going to do well. I look back at it now and I was like, I wasn't ready. Like, I didn't deserve it. I didn't, you know, I wanted it, but I just thought, yeah, I think I can do it. I've got some of the skills, you know, and then that was the wall, that was the bang, reassess. You're missing 2 key parts. Right, okay, and then you go and do it again, and it's like that's what you needed.
Literally, bro.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So snap, I guess. What's next? What do you want to achieve next in life?
That's it. So if we're talking life, man, that's a deep question.
Or for anything you want. That was one of those questions. You answer that however you want to answer that.
So what I want to achieve in life, I think it's just a lot of personal stuff, man. Like I was talking, you know, I think this time of year is great. Just taking over New Year, it's real reflective for everybody. You know, it's a lot of stuff. Career-wise, like I said, I've won that big award now. That's awesome. I'd love to do more like that, but it almost sets the pace for me now. It's nice to have that. But it's a lot of personal stuff too, just developing relationships. That was another one of my resolutions this year, was to prioritize relationships. And I think that goes into that's a little piece of like with the client as well, asking the why and stuff like that. I think that's an underlying thing of like why I want to prioritize relationships, because you can be as good as you are at anything. You can win these awards, you could do whatever, you know, you can have a massive following on Instagram, whatever it is, but you could still feel like there's no meaningful relationships around you, or not many. You know, and sometimes you don't really need many, you know, like, so sometimes you can have a small circle. It depends who you are, but I think that's one of the big things for me that I need to concentrate on this year, is prioritizing relationships. So that's a big thing that I want to achieve next, is just, you know, harnessing them all, strengthening them all again. Because like I say, the last 3 to 5 years has been probably more of a selfish time for me. You know, focusing on my career, bringing up my skills, networking, all this stuff. Although it's good, and it does have a knock-on effect. There's lots of things that I can offer these people through my skill set and mindset. But at the same time, ultimately, it is for me. You know, and sometimes that's okay, but life can't just all be about that. And so, on the side there, relationships, all relationships, you know, friends, family,
clients,
romantic relationships, clients, whatever, sometimes it can just slip to the wayside, and then it's like, and then you're all of a sudden you're just like this guy just standing there on your own, like, well, with a bunch of trophies, like it just doesn't mean much, you know. So that's a big thing for me in life. That's that one, and dropping the assumption. That's another one. So those are my inside jobs this year. Mm-hmm. Career-wise, I think for me, so I'm part of an education team now, working with Anders Clippers.
Sure.
That's going to be a big focus for me this year. But it's going to be interesting because I don't really want to just be your standard guys, this is how you do a fade because it looks cool. You know, like I want to bring the other elements, help people to understand the why, or bring the how into extreme detail, but also the why. You know, I think that's going to be, and just to help people navigate their clients too. You know, I think that will help me, and that will help me have a little bit of a nudge on where this industry's going.
It'll help you direct where the industry is going as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, just kind of just push it in that way a little bit, you know, because it just can't all be one way. I don't think. You know?
But do you see why industries need people like yourself to help that?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Otherwise, it just continues going that one way.
Exactly, and it you know, I could see it just almost implodes eventually. You know, it's like, how far can it really go being so focused on ego and look? You know, it's only goes so far, you know, before it becomes just a marketing tool, doesn't it? You know,
and it's already probably a little bit too late. So it's why the nudge now is very important.
Exactly, the time is now to start asking the why and nurturing. So that's why I feel so strongly about that topic, and that's where I'm at a crossroads with it. Like I say, I love the creative side. I love creating the masterpiece. Like seeing it at the end, it's like, that's cool. That was cool. The process, you know, it just looks structurally, it's beautiful. You know, it's a thing of beauty. But yeah, there's also the other side of it, the why we're doing it as well, and just bringing all those elements together. There's also the craft side to what I do as well. It's just enjoying the craft as well.
You wouldn't be doing it otherwise.
Exactly. So there's that too. You have to enjoy the craft. And remember early days when I first started hairdressing, I worked for a salon in the UK, and they were big in the competition scene. And I was talking to the guys. It was like way out hair, like wacky, like bright colors, really just wild designs and stuff. I was asking one of the guys, I was like, so why is it like this? Because no one's going to wear this stuff. And he says it's not about that. It's about the craft. It's about how well, here's a comb, here's a pair of scissors, how well can you use them? And you're like, wow, well, that's totally different to what we do in the shop.
That's an
so
answer.
You see those two like angles, yeah, and then so that's why I really feel like we need to bring it all together, and that is another obsession of mine. Is like the craft. I pay attention to technique, the finer details, and I'm obsessed with the craft as well. It's like not just about how you look, the ego. Oh, you look great today, dude. Yeah, it's not about that. There's a part of it that's in there for me as well. It's the craft and like, how well can I do this?
Bro, I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm like, hey. Boom, I might have to cheat on you. Just for one time. Just for one time. Just one time. Just once. Forgive me, but just once.
You lost a client.
No, but it's like all that's so important. And I think a man like yourself will be able to achieve all of those things, no worries at all.
I hope so. I just got to keep the drive. It's amazing how all these things happen. Again, getting back to, you just don't know when these things are going to happen. Believe they are going to happen. I think that was a big thing about last year. It was an amazing year. I believed they were going to happen. I just didn't know when. And part of that is knowing when you're ready and when you deserve it, and just picking those moments. I do believe it can happen. It's just keeping the momentum. And I feel for me, keeping the momentum, I need to adjust a few things. That's why, I say I'm at a crossroads. I need to interact with people like yourself and people who have a better idea on mindset and how to navigate those conversations than I do. So yeah, I definitely will achieve it. It's just when, and just keeping believing that you can do it.
Straight up.
Yeah.
And I think we're at that time of the day. And I'm just very interested to see what you have to say. But we have one question we ask everybody.
All right.
And I'm going to ask it to you now.
Hit me.
But Leigh, what is one thing that you wish you were told as a youth?
Told as a youth? Wow. I don't really know. I had, like, growing up, I had great parenting. I think they gave me solid advice when I was growing up. Again, like I was saying earlier, it was like black or white decisions. You do this, you do this. I think in life, one big thing that coming from just a standard background, how to navigate money would be a big one for me. How to navigate finances and investing to set yourself up in life, because I come from a background where that just wasn't even a thing. Wasn't even a conversation. Wasn't even brought to the table. Like, coming from, a reasonably big family, all your money goes into keeping everybody alive, basically, and keeping a roof over your head. So one of the big things was, I think, finances, what to do with your money and how to invest it. I would have loved to have had that advice when I was young. And another one is patience and realizing, being told that life is going to be longer than you think. Even though it's not. Even though time goes so fast, you've got time. I think if this can be another conversation for another day, but from like 18, even 16 to now, I've done a lot of stuff in my life. And that's like, 12 years. I've done a lot of stuff, like a lot. If I just list out all the stuff that I've done, even I'd say in like from 18 to 25, that is just condensed stuff, like just crazy stuff. And so, but there was a part of me that felt I was in a rush to do stuff, But that I've always had that fire to do things, and like, all right, I could do this. And I guess that comes with being obsessed with doing things well and knowing you can do them well, and if you apply yourself enough. But then subconsciously, it just puts you in a rush to do more things, because that reward on your brain is like, oh, you were good at that. Do another thing, do another thing, do another thing, do another thing. And then, so it gets bang, 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 more. And then, so realizing that I have time, I probably would have just like paced myself a little bit more.
You would have acknowledged finance a little bit better.
Well, exactly. This is the thing, and just knowing what to do with that, and having a better idea of what money you can do with it.
Well,
that will influence your. And I'm not talking about getting rich. I'm just talking about like just setting yourself up to be in a position where you can be comfortable. But what does it do? It gives you your time back.
But that's being financially literate.
Yeah.
Like, that's understanding
there you go. And
money.
I think that was the thing. But see, right back to the start where my parents said to me, do you want to owe money or earn money? I was like, I want to earn money. That was where the conversation ended. It wasn't, now what are you going to do with your money? Are you going to put this here? Are you going to put that there? No. It was like, go and earn money.
Because that was what was so funny about that. And I was nearly said something, but I was like, nah, because there's something deeper to what you said. But do you want to make money now? Or do you want to make more money in the future?
Okay.
That's how I would have gave that question to my kid.
It's a good way of saying it.
Because, like, one seems like you're owing more money.
Yeah.
But if one allows you to get this skill that you can do for life, and it doesn't depend on your actual physical body, compared to one that does, which one? Because it becomes a whole other question.
Well, it comes down to an understanding, doesn't it? Before me and my brothers, I think, in my family, my two younger brothers were the first ones to go to uni. So it wasn't even a thing. So the understanding around it was probably not quite there. But I love the way that you just put that. And if I had that, not that it's right or wrong or bad or good, it's just a different perspective. So I think, that would have been cool. Do you want to make money now or later? Either one.
Pros and cons.
Also, what are you going to do with it? And for me, we'd all love to be rich, but I don't think I want to be. I just want to be comfortable to be able to free up some time to work on this stuff. Because we could talk about this all day, and sometimes you just need some time to work on it, don't you? Sometimes you just need to not work, or just get out of it, or just sit on your own, or sit with your friends, or sit with people and just work on it. And I find I'm working a lot, and I don't prioritize that enough. So that's what I feel like if I knew, because I'm almost 30, and if I could have done a lot more with money up until this point to put myself in a better position now, which I feel would have freed me up a lot more with time, which would have given me more ability to work on this stuff. But I also understand that that's just the journey, and I don't mind. I'm cool with it. But if I would have loved some advice, that would have been it. Also would have been patience. That would have been a big thing. Not been just so much of a rush to do things and just to achieve and do this and this.
But you know what's so funny about that? Hate to cut you off there, but through financial literacy comes the understanding of patience.
Exactly.
Like they tie hand in hand
That's
so well.
That's what I'm learning. And the reason I say patience is it's not because I wasn't told about it. I think it needed to be delivered to me in a different way. Again, it was like the way you said the money thing. I think it just needed to be delivered to me in a different way.
But you had to be ready as well.
You also have to be ready, yeah. And because the way it's funny, I always remember this. My parents used to go nuts at me. I've always been like just wanting to do stuff, and it's like classic thing. It just reminds me, Christmas has just gone, and I would always rip open the toys, rip open the things, and they go, read the damn instructions, and I'd never read the instructions because I was too impatient, and I was like, chuck that away, and then they'll be like shouting up the stairs, did you read the instructions? Yep. Chuck them away. And then so that always reminds me, now it's like, read the instructions, be patient, and but I just feel like it probably just needs to be delivered in a slightly different way. But that's really it. I think I've had very solid advice growing up. My mum and dad have always directed me in the right way. Been very, very, very fortunate for that. And whether it's right or wrong, solid advice is sometimes just solid advice, Sometimes you just need a direction. And there wasn't a lot of like tiptoeing around. It was like, do this or do this. But yeah, I think if there was any advice when I was young, it was, there's another thing as well. Yeah, money, patience, and don't be afraid to show your feelings. As a male, coming from the UK as a male, in like the southwest of England where I am, it's probably like being a bit more in the country in Australia, just that little bit more rural kind of closed off mindset. Not so much closed off, but like insular mindset, don't be afraid to show your feelings more. That's been one of the blessings about moving away from home, being away from the people that I love, is learning that. Because I think being around those people that don't often nurture that out of you or drag it out of you, I would have just stayed exactly how I was.
Bro, that's one of my goals for 2020.
Yeah.
Yep. I fucking struggle with it dearly. That's a whole other rabbit hole,
Yeah.
but that's one of my goals for 2020.
It's a huge one, man. I think it's so powerful. And it just comes out in all relationships, whether it's family, friends, romantic, whatever it is. Not being afraid to show your feelings, good or bad, but knowing when to cap it. There's got to be some mindfulness around it. You can't just be like freaking out every 2 minutes. But maybe you need to sometimes, because then if you have the awareness, you can bring yourself back down. But the other thing, I think it keeps the people around you that need to be around you as well. That's one of the things I was going to dig into earlier, is like there's pros and cons to being a people pleaser, and not showing the real emotion, and that is one of the barriers that I think I run into in my career. I got good at doing what you wanted really, really well, but I didn't have the awareness. I didn't know that there was another side of me that thought differently about it. I knew that there was a part of me that thought I didn't always enjoy it, and there was times where I get frustrated with my job, but when I realized, wait a second, you just got good at imitating what people want. You're really good at it, but what is that doing for your mindset, stuff like that? So,
more importantly, what do you want?
What do I want?
No, that's if all you've been doing is for others, at what point did you ask yourself, what do I want?
Exactly. So, and that's where sometimes you do have to just get a little bit selfish and be like, what do you want? And for me, I just thought I got to be selfish to be selfless. I have to be, because if I don't know what I want, how on earth can I help you?
Bro,
Because I'm just battling my own damn thing, you know. Like how
we
can
all
I-
are.
Exactly.
But along the process, if I can positively help other people along the way in doing that,
Yeah.
it's a win.
Yeah. And that's where this, very fortunate. I think that there obviously there are things that I'm battling with in my career, and like on a bit of a crossroads, but on the whole, I'm very, very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing, because there are so many directions I can take this in. I have the platform to really make a difference, and so many people just coming to me all the time. It's a medium where I'm just meeting people all the time, so there is that opportunity. It's, again, I think, knocking down those barriers behind the feelings. That's a big one. Not being afraid to show it and navigate it and ask why. I think half the reason why I never ask why is just because you're worried about the confrontation, or I don't want to hurt your feelings. It's like, or I don't want you to really know how I feel, or that kind of thing, which is, I think, is prevalent in many, many people, many conversations. I think that's where I'm at.
It's life.
It's life.
It's going to be a never-ending battle.
I know, but that's a good thing, and that's where I get that sometimes you can only learn these things with age and experience, and that's why I would encourage people to just get out in life and just have as many experiences, move away, meet as many people as you can, just be as open-minded as you possibly can, because sometimes you can't learn these things without that, and that's life, and that's learning that patience is like, this stuff's just going to keep recurring. I tell myself that all the time now. I'm like, you do know this is going to keep coming up. Like I talk to myself about that all the time, and that in a way it's worrying and it's comforting at the same time, because I know that I'm a person that I love a challenge. And there's part of me that I'm like, oh damn, is it really going to keep being like this? But then I'm like, wait a second, you love this stuff, I can't remember. I was listening to an interview or a podcast. I think it was, I don't know if you heard of Aubrey Marcus, and anyway, he's a really spiritual dude, and he went to a shaman, and he was trying to be like, oh, I hate this about myself, and I want to do this, and he was like, yeah, but you secretly love you. You secretly love that, and like, that's where I'm at. I'm just getting to the terms of like, I get scared of like, oh, is it always going to be like this? But wait a second, I love it, because I love a challenge, and I love the whole cycle of like having the humility to be like, damn, this is happening, having the drive to be like, this is what we got to do, and we'll start again.
Bro, it's so powerful, isn't it?
Oh, I just, and this is the thing, and I think this is where, I mean, we could talk about this for days, but I think this is where I'm at with trying to dig into that why with my clients, and like, I just want to pass that message on, because it can help you with the ego thing. It can help you with everything, and why you're trying to impress and why you're trying to look good. If you know why and have the awareness, then you can just go away and work on it,
It's really that simple, though, isn't it?
It's that simple, yeah. And I think it's just coming up with a way to pass that idea on. I think that's all it is. I think that's what I'm looking for.
Bro, that's just honest communication.
That's it, and I think that's what I need to work on this year. But
you'll be fine, bro.
I think if get back to what things I would have liked to have known as a youth, finances. So for any young people out there, really work on that stuff. It's all right to make money and spend it, but you got to do something else with it too, and do some good with it, and do some good for yourself. Patience, and show your feelings.
Literally.
That's it, man.
And it's a great recipe for everybody in life. But Leigh, tell the people where they can find you.
So Facebook, Instagram, the handle is the Barbell Barber, and that's it. That's literally it.
Short
That's
sweet.
all I do.
Short and sweet. We get so many people that it's just like bang, 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 but it's like, that was simple.
I keep it simple. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and if you ever want a haircut, hit me up, come through, and we'll talk.
And let him have all the reins.
Yeah,
He will give you gold. Is there anything else you want to tell the people?
Stay open-minded. I think that's the big one. Keep having open-minded conversations. Keep provoking what you've learned, what you know, and keep doing life. Keep being happy.
And that's it. But bro, I couldn't thank you anymore for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come
Thank you so much
and
for
share
having
that
me.
experience with us.
It's been a pleasure.
I think it was important. I think I realised some stuff. You may have realised some
I
stuff.
realised a lot. And it was funny because I've been talking to people about coming in today, and it's come at such a good time because there are so many things that I need to be answered. And it's not until you sit down with people like yourself, you'll get asked a question that you never saw coming or you've never even thought of, and it pulls an answer out of you. But you have to have the humility and awareness to let it come out.
Bro, not
But
even that. You
it's
have
so
to,
good to have that.
and you just have to want to have actual conversations. Not
That's
everybody
it.
does, and that is
Nope.
completely okay.
That's fine.
It is completely
I'm
fine.
going to keep doing it.
I'm gonna keep doing it. I think that's what's birthed this. It's like I
Yeah.
can't stop now.
I just can't stop talking.
Literally. But I think we're at. That's it. Thank you all for watching. Big ups to our sponsors once again. They're popping up here and here. Yeah. All the best for the new year. We were late with it, but doesn't matter. It's the 12th of January. This probably won't come out till February or March. But
did it
you'll be
anyway.
right. You'll be right. But thank you all for listening. Thank you all for supporting. Stay safe. Peace out. One love. And Leigh, thank you, my brother.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.